Coming up on First at 4, flu season is right around the corner. We'll tell you what you need to do to make sure you're ready for it. And firefighters in Chicago respond to a building explosion where at least half a dozen people were taken to the hospital.
Plus, warm weather is back in the mountains this week. The latest on when fall weather could return coming up as Mountain News First at 4 starts right now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, an Eastern Kentucky pharmacist says we are on the cusp of flu season. And as WYMT's Dakota Makers reports, the earlier you get a flu shot, the better.
Pharmacist Tyler Wells at Hometown Pharmacy of Hazard says last year he administered around 50 flu shots.
We had quite a few people seeking them out last year. I don't know if it's kind of in conjunction with COVID vaccine, so there was a big push for that. I think it kind of helped put vaccinations on the front of people's minds.
The CDC recommends anyone 6 months and older to get the flu shot. Wells says if you want the shot, do so before the end of October. And once you get the flu shot, it takes about 2 weeks for your body to build up antibodies.
This year's a little bit different as the CDC has started recommending for people 65 and older their specific flu doses. We do have those, and we have normal flu shots as well.
Making sure people keep their health in check as seasons change. In Hazard, Dakota Makers, WYMT Mountain News.
And health experts say you can get a COVID vaccine and a flu shot at the same time.
Well, toasty temperatures back in the mountains today. It was warm yesterday, hot today, even hotter as we head into tomorrow. Here's a look around the region right now from downtown Whitesburg. Just blue skies out there. Nothing to be concerned about weather-wise today except for the heat. We look at pinpoint Doppler and all is quiet. Just a few fair weather clouds kind of reaching up high enough to be picked up. You got to go up towards Cincinnati before you run into even a whiff of a shower. Temperatures are warm for this time of year, middle and upper 80s. Look at Lexington checking in at 90 and 92 over in Louisville. Dew points warm as well, but not quite as muggy as we were yesterday. Low to mid 60s out there. Those will come up though as we head into the day tomorrow. So for tonight, low 60s with mostly clear skies, some patchy fog possible. I'll have the details though on when we could see a return to some much more fall-like weather. That's coming up in a few minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. Firefighters in Chicago responded to an explosion earlier today. A fire department spokesperson confirmed there was an explosion in a 4-story apartment building in the South Austin neighborhood. 10 ambulances were sent to the scene and at least 6 people were transported to hospitals. Fire department officials say 3 of the victims were in serious to critical condition. The other injuries were not as severe. No word yet on what caused the explosion.
I live right here on the corner, and I was on my phone laying in the bed, and I heard a big explosion, and then my bed shook, almost like an earthquake. And so I immediately came out, and the windows was busted, and you could smell gas, like real strong gas in the air. And then I seen that the building was exploded. It was, you know, debris everywhere. People was running from here and there. They brought a couple bodies out.
Now, building inspection records show the building has failed its last 12 inspections since 2010. Britain's new king has flown to Scotland to grieve privately as the royal family spends one more week in mourning after yesterday's funeral for Queen Elizabeth II. CBS's Terry Okita reports from London.
Across the United Kingdom, life is starting to return to normal. Near Windsor Castle, crews took apart the big screen set up for Queen Elizabeth's funeral, now that the 10 days of national mourning have come to an end.
It's just a nice sort of end, really, to the reign.
The royal send-off for Britain's longest reigning monarch, filled with pageantry, emotion, and centuries of tradition, united the nation in grief and gratitude.
The nation certainly has come together, you know. As for the crowd yesterday, you know, it was unbelievable.
We now know just how many people passed by the Queen's coffin as she was lying in state in Westminster Hall. Officials say at least 250,000 mourners waited in line for hours and hours to say their goodbye.
The imperial state crown that graced her coffin will now be resized for King Charles III to wear after his coronation sometime next year.
I think King Charles, as it is now, has clearly made a plan to follow in his mother's path, and it was a very strong path that she took and a very deliberate path. She knew what she wanted to do, how she wanted to be a queen.
And while Britain looks ahead to this new chapter of the monarchy, the legacy of Queen Elizabeth and her 70 years on the throne will not be forgotten. Terry Okita, CBS News, London.
Flags on British government buildings are flying at full staff once again, but flags at royal homes will remain at half staff for another week. After 2 years of video and hybrid meetings, the United Nations General Assembly returned to New York today. Representatives from 193 governments gathered in the iconic General Assembly Hall, including more heads of state than ever before. The gathering comes just one day after Ukraine accused Vladimir Putin's regime yet again of nuclear terrorism after a Russian missile struck close to a nuclear power plant in the country's south. The leaders gathered at UN headquarters in the coming days will hear a direct video appeal from Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky for help to defend his nation from Russian aggression. McDonald's eateries in Kyiv reopened today, a symbol of the war-torn country's return to some sense of normalcy and a show of support after the American fast food chain pulled out of Russia in March. The burger giant closed its Ukrainian restaurants after Russia's invasion nearly 7 months ago, but has continued to pay more than 10,000 McDonald's employees in the country. The 3 restaurants that have reopened in the capital are offering a delivery service only. That did not stop customers from getting their fix as delivery drivers streamed in and out collecting orders. As it gradually reopens in Ukraine, McDonald's has sold its 850 restaurants in Russia to a franchise owner. McDonald's opened its first location in Moscow in 1990, becoming a powerful symbol of easing Cold War tensions. McDonald's shuttered hundreds of Russian locations, costing the company about $55 million per month. A Baltimore man convicted of a 1999 murder that became the subject of the first season of the popular podcast Serial is out of prison. Adnan Syed walked out of court after a judge vacated his conviction yesterday. He was just a teenager when he was found guilty of murdering his ex-girlfriend, high school senior Hae Min Lee. Syed was sentenced to life in prison. However, Syed's attorney presented some reliability issues to the state in 2021. After taking another look at the case, Baltimore prosecutors filed a motion to vacate the conviction. They say new evidence reveals the possibility of 2 alternative suspects. Coming up on First at 4, Hurricane Fiona continues to make its presence felt in the Caribbean.
Plus, Mother Nature getting her money's worth with this week's summer weather. The latest on a return to the dog days. Straight ahead.